with the moth trapping. It is a bit of a patient game. Wait till it gets dark, and then you just got to wait for the moths to come in. If you can leave them out all night, that's great, and then you can get people to look at them in the morning when you open the traps up, and you've got no idea what's in there. But the beauty of staying with the trap during the night, not everything is going to go in it. You'll get a lot of things settle on or around the trap that you might not see when you open it up in the morning. So if you stay with it, you might see other stuff flying around amongst the bushes and the grass that you perhaps won't actually get in the trap in the morning. So if you're out with the trap, then you might find more than what you would do. I mean, it depends what people want to do. You know, if at a weekend here, what I normally do is set the traps up on a Friday night. They're left out all night, and I check them on the Saturday morning when I come into work. I can do that here. The moth night we've got here on Saturday night, we'll have 3 traps running. One will be off the mains. Two of the others will be off the generator, and then we'll just basically hang around and let the moths fly in, see what we can see. Who knows? Every night is different. So if you were doing 2 or 3 consecutive nights moth trapping in the same place, you'll get something different every night. Education, I think, is important with moths. People perhaps have a misapprehension about moths. They perhaps don't understand them because they don't see them. Like butterflies that fly around during the day, very obvious. You might get a few day flying moths, but a lot of people's perception of moths is little brown things flapping around. But some moths are small, obviously micro moths. You get big moths, and you get very, very colourful moths, every bit as colourful as a butterfly. But people just don't see them as often. So, and perhaps people don't think of moths as important pollinators, much like bees and butterflies. But a lot of flowers are open and active at night and need pollinating still. That's where the moths come in. Before, people perhaps have a misconception of moths, little brown things flapping around the house, eating their clothes, that kind of thing. But moths are really important. They're pollinator. Obviously, there's lots of flowers that are flowering at night that need pollinating, and moths are there to do the job. They're a huge indicator of a healthy ecosystem. We all know bees and insects, butterflies, or insects in general have declined rapidly. So by putting out your moth trap, like we're doing here tomorrow night at the golf club, you know, you can see by how many different species you've got or numbers of moths how healthy the local ecosystem is. You know, if you've got a good healthy supply of insects, you've got a good healthy supply of birds that might eat those insects, and then another healthy supply of other predators that will then eat those birds that eat those insects, so it moves up the food chain. So it's important that you do surveys where you can of everything, not just moths, just, you know, to see how healthy the habitat and the ecosystem is in the area. And people, I think, I'll talk to people, you know, about moths, see what their understanding is, you know, and if they don't know much, then I'm there to educate. So the event on Saturday night is an official butterfly conservation event through the local Lincolnshire branch. So we decided on a relatively easy place for access for people. Rather than traipsing around the middle of the golf course in the middle of the night, we have to think of sort of health and safety and stuff. So we're not far from a car park, so fairly easy for people to get to. We'll have 3 traps set up, but we decided to put a limit on the amount of people so it's easy to manage and easy to show people, so people don't miss out on anything that's around. So we put a limit of 20 people on. So we've got 18 people coming that are booked up for the event, which is really good. Obviously myself and a guy from the Lincolnshire branch of Butterfly Conservation will be there as well, and hopefully the Lincolnshire moth recorder if he can make it, and obviously I'll be there to show people the moths, and well, let's see. You never know what we're going to find. Good question. I think from an early age I had a little bit of interest in moths. You know, just looking at them at the security light in the back garden. Never really followed it up or did much. And then at my previous golf club, I think that's when I got much more of an interest in things. So I was able to borrow a trap, and then I've been moth trapping regularly since 2013. Bought my own trap in 2018, and then I've gone on to buy another two. I've made another two, so I've got 6 moth traps altogether now, plus a generator, lots of books and various other bits and pieces. It's a bit of an addictive hobby, I find. I find moths absolutely fascinating. Like I said before, you never know what you're going to find, and every night is different. There's usually a surprise or two along the line somewhere. We're in pretty good habitat. There's lots of trees around. There's shrubs, grass, nettles, bramble, all sorts of things. The traps are not hugely far apart, but you can't, if you stood in the middle, where we are now, where there'll be one trap set up, you wouldn't be able to see the other two. So they're not in direct line with each other, and quite likely you'll get something different in each trap. Whilst you're going to have a lot of similar stuff, every trap will have something different. I puts a smile on my face. I mean, for instance, when I first started here at Woodall Spa Golf Club, I'd come across a list where people had previously done some moth trapping here, and that list stood at 235 species. In just over a year, I've added 143. So we've now got 378 species of moth recorded here. My target, and I think it's quite achievable, is 400 species by the end of the year. Now, take, for example, last weekend, conditions were perfect. It was hot during the day. It was warm and humid at night and cloudy. No wind, no rain. I added another 24 species to the golf club list. It was a hell of a... I mean, Friday night we had 49 species of moth. Saturday night was even better. We had 67 species of moth. Mothing generally has not been that good this year because the weather's been so terrible. But things are warmed up now, and there's a lot more diversity. There's more species being seen. And last weekend, you know, it was really good. Ideally, what you want is a warm, muggy night with cloud, no rain, and no wind, or very little wind. Moths really don't like it when it's really windy. Not sure why. Also, if you've got a full moon, that tends to draw the moths away from the trap, so you won't get as many. They don't tend to be bothered quite so much by the rain. The only problem you've got is you'll get wet, and the moth trap will get wet unless it's got a rain guard. If it was only light rain, then I wouldn't worry too much. But if it's really heavy rain, then I probably wouldn't bother at all. So we've been keeping an eye on the weather for tomorrow night, and all looks good. No problems with that. But yeah, so what you want: warm, cloudy night, no wind, and preferably no rain. Obviously, you're dealing with electrics and sockets and stuff, so water and electrics don't tend to mix very. Well, I was lucky, I guess. I knew people that when I first started, I knew people that were interested that I could go to for help when I started moth trapping. If you're not lucky enough to be in that position, the easiest way probably is to go on the Butterfly Conservation website. There should be information on there to find out who your local moth recorder is. Drop them a line, ask some questions, find out where you can go mothing locally. You've got social media, Facebook, Twitter. You can put a message out, and look around, and you'll find other people that do the same. And certainly, when I started here, there are quite a lot of existing wildflower areas. In the last week in particular, I've noticed a heck of, well, as it's been warmer, a lot more butterflies in general around, flitting over, these sort of wild meadow areas. The plan is hopefully to improve some of those areas by adding some more wildflower seed and trying to make them a little bit better, basically, and improve them for all the insects to enjoy.